How's it going, everybody? This is Raven back with another World of Tanks video. Trying to put a little bit more effort into this one, eventually getting up there. But welcome to the F4005, or the FV4005. I actually just unlocked this tank last night, on my live stream, after spending a couple of days grinding a bunch of premium tanks for free XP to convert with gold that I had left over from all the loot boxes from Christmas. And the reason I wanted to get this tank was simple. Well, there was two reasons. One, because penetration doesn't matter and you can do stuff like that all the time. And two was to try to get Tank Destroyer Mission 15 done for the T-55A. Now, I've been trying to do this mission for, I don't even know how long, at least a year by this point. And I'd really kind of just given up hope. I was going to try to work on getting some orders back so I can get this one and the Light Tank Mission 15 both done, but no luck with either of those departments either. So I decided, you know what, I've got all this gold, I'll do the math, and it turns out I had just enough to get this tank if I converted all the XP with the gold I had. So that's what the last couple streams I've been doing have been, and I finally got it. First couple games were a little underwhelming, but when I played again this morning and this afternoon, it started to get better. I started to get a little bit of the hang of it. I'm still definitely learning. It's an interesting tank to get the hang of, but overall it can be pretty fun. Although, it can also be incredibly frustrating. So, I do load mostly Hesh, as most people do, with the 4005 here. But I do have a couple AP rounds for those for those certain situations where AP is just better, like artillery, for example. I'd rather fire an AP shell than one of these 8,000 credit Hesh shells. But, ooh, this one might be juicy. Well, I guess it could be worse. 700 damage on the side of that guy, and then another 800 assist. And then I get shot in the flank by the STRV. And one of the biggest things I have had the most trouble with this tank is the reverse speed. 8 kilometers an hour backwards is simply horrific. I'm actually going to try to blind fire this STRV here, because I just want him dead, and I figured that might be hilarious if it hits. So I fire, and no dice. I'm not sure if I splashed him at this point, but when I checked the post-battle results, I didn't have any damage on him. So I guess that one missed. So anyways, back to the point here. I got this tank for two reasons. One, because I think it might be fun, and two, for the big damage Tank Destroyer missions. Now, for those of you that may not be familiar, TD-15 for the T-55A requires you to cause 6,000 HP of damage, which you'd think wouldn't be a big deal for any Tier 10 Tank Destroyer, because over the course of the past year, I've tried it with both American Tank Destroyers at Tier 10, the T-110A4 and the T-110A3. No luck with either of those. I also tried it with the T-30, and with the T-30, my highest damage that I have caused in a game is about 6,900. I have no idea how that shot missed, by the way. It must have gone a little bit off to the side, but it was a little bit frustrated, let's just say. But anyways, so I tried it with the T-30, no dice. And eventually I just kind of gave up on it. But when I unlocked this tank, I was on a real push, because this is if there's any tank in the game where I can get 6,000 damage, it should be this one. And I played, nearly 20 games at this point. I think at this point, this might have been my 15th or 16th game in this tank, and I was starting to get a little bit frustrated, like, oh, I'm just going to be stuck on this mission forever. I'll never get it done. And that's kind of what I was thinking in this match. Like, I've only got 1,700 damage. Or is that 1,200? Yeah, only 1,200 damage. No, yeah, I was right. I'm sorry, I'm looking at tiny little numbers on my screen. I'm only on 1,700 damage. There's no way I'm going to get the other 4,000 that I need in this match. And that's kind of... It was really demoralizing to think of it that way. Because I'd think... Like, realistically, I'm spending a lot of credits to try to do this. With shots like that happening, with shots that don't penetrate, with just getting spotted and completely annihilated in a few seconds, which does happen, and has happened in a couple of the games that I've played. It can just be so frustrating when you're doing these missions. So, one thing that I try to do is I try not to focus on one mission for too long. So for today, I only have the tank destroyer missions and the light tank missions to do to finish the T-55A campaign. So that's what I was working on this morning. So I was alternating between this tank and some of my light tanks, trying to get the missions done, because I felt like I was in a good position to do the missions. So I really wanted to try and get those done real quick, because I've been wanting to get my hands on the T-55A for a long time. It was actually the one tank I was excited for out of all of them. So that game ends, no dice there, but just a couple games later, I stumbled across this one. Now, this isn't my favorite map in the game, but there are definitely worse ones to try to do this mission on. What is this map called? Miravanka? Yeah, Miravanka. Is it Vanka or Vanka? I don't know. I'll say whichever one I feel like. Anyways, there's one spot that I really like on this map that I'm going to go to right away for my tank destroyers that have some gun depression, like this one. That's one of the things that I like about it, though. Along with the gun is the gun depression. You got 10 degrees, which is actually pretty nice for a gun this large. And this 257 kind of gets a little bit in the way there, and we'll see a little bit more of him in a minute. But let's head to this position here. And by this point, I've kind of resigned myself to, like, yeah, I'm not gonna get TD15 anytime soon, but I'm still gonna try. Just do the best I can in these games, just to see, you know, what happens will happen. So now the team has got a very interesting deployment in this one. We got a couple heavy tanks going towards the cap circle. Myself and this 257 heading down the south here, along with another tank destroyer behind us. I believe that's the STRV. And then the rest of our guys are heading towards the forest. No, my bad. The STRV is actually to the southeast. I'm not sure which tank destroyer is behind us there. But anyways, let's get to this spot. There's actually a small bush on the top of a little crest here. And it's actually in a good position because there is a partial double bush you can use to hide yourself from enemies. So that's where I'm heading, is that one right in front of me there. And I can actually use that quite often, especially on encounter battles where they're really pushing for that cap circle. So I can creep up here and look through the first set of bushes and then through the tree. And oh, look, there's a 705. Is that green? Oh, yeah, that was a green. And that's like the 1 in 10 shots that you get with this gun. When you have the chance to aim and let it, you know, shrink down to the best possible chance of a penetration, and you get lucky. And it was just so juicy to start the game off with nearly 2,000 damage. And here's that 257 again, kind of getting in the way. So I'm not sure what he was doing, but he seemed like an interesting player. Let's just put it that way. So trying to zero in on this T110E5 here. He's got some good frontal armor. I was looking for a good shot. Maybe he'll give me a side. Honestly, I probably should have taken the shot sooner, but 600 damage is 600 damage. That puts me up to about 2,500, 2,600 damage in this game, which isn't a bad start considering it's only 3 minutes old. And there are still 12 enemy tanks. So at this point I was kind of thinking like, maybe I'll get it this match. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But then I take a look at the map, and it's like, oh no. So we control the cap circle, that's nice, but the enemy controls the rest of the map. We still do have an STRV and a standard B towards the eastern portion of the map, but the rest of our teams kind of hold up here, and the enemy controls the entire eastern flank. So I'm going to try to find a bush on a crest so I can back up as quick as I can. 8 kilometers an hour isn't that quick. But sometimes you can make do. So there's an IS-7 here. I'm going to try to put a shot into him. We don't see how much damage that does, but I'm pretty sure it hit. And based on how much health he has, it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 700 to 800. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm probably up close to 3,300 damage at this point. This is a pretty good contender for Tank Destroyer 15. I just need, what, 2,600 more damage? Something in there? So now I'm trying to find another spot. I'm trying to get a little bit farther to the right there to get some extra cover towards the southern portion of the map where that T110E5 is, because I don't want the IS-7 to flank around and get our, our broadside. But I'm sitting here waiting for the T-30 to poke himself out, and there he is. Aim, and fire because I was spotted. And there's 900 damage. Well, that was a pretty meaty chunk. And the IS-7 does catch me in the side. And this is where that reverse speed really becomes noticeable in situations like this, where there's absolutely no cover. You're trying to back up. To be honest, it probably would have been faster just to turn around and go forward. But in this kind of situation, I wasn't really thinking too straight. And the gun lets me down. That could have been a really meaty hit into the side of the IS-7, but the shot goes low and punishes the trees instead. So what can you do? Just reload, hope he doesn't spot you and kill you, and wait for your next opportunity. And that's something I found with this tank, is a lot of waiting for your next opportunity. So I'm loaded, fire, and there's another 600 damage into the side of the IS-7. Now this, a lot of comparisons I've seen compare this to it makes it sound like a tier 10 KV2. And in some parts that's right, in some parts it isn't. The gun makes it kind of seem like it. Yeah, armor doesn't matter. But, are we looking at another shot? Yes, we can. That's much meatier than last time, 784. But anyways, back to the comparison with the KV2. Yeah, you got a meaty gun that fires high explosive types of ammunition. But where the KV2 has some armor that it can use, especially in a top tier game, this one really doesn't. It's got the biggest, weakest turret in the game, and a Centurion hull, so the armor is really nothing special, and you only get very rare lucky bounces. However, they're both very fun tanks to play, and I think that's where some of the comparison comes from as well. Anyways, back to the game. It's 9-9, close game, we control the cap still, and they're pushing into this choke point. I find a shot at the Object 704 here, I let it aim, and it pops 774 damage into the front of that Object 704. And here's where the reload and the lack of flexibility and the bad reverse speed comes and bites me again. Because this Object 430 is able to put a shot into me. I'm reversing full speed. Luckily, that one goes right into the tracks. So I got very lucky right there that he did not kill me right then and there. Because right now I'm only at 5,500-ish damage. And I'm pretty sure the shot in the IS-7 did hit him and do damage. So at this point I'm fairly certain that I have completed Tank Destroyer Mission 15 for the T-55A. But the Leopard prototype's coming up, and I click, but the shot didn't quite register in time, and the Leopard prototype finishes me off. Still, the game is close. It's 10-11 when we control the cap. There's a short amount of time left on the cap here. I'm not thinking we're going to win this by capping, but maybe our team can pull this together. We got a 263 and a Object 257 and a Conqueror in the cap circle, or near the cap circle, and they're all very strong, powerful tanks. And then we have this STRV in the back, and I'm not sure what he was thinking, what he was doing back there. Maybe he was trying to provide some flanking cover. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll get back to him in just a minute. So the Object 257 and the Conqueror in the cap circle. They're not going to win by capping at this point. They're going to have to fight it out. Conqueror takes a shot in the side there, probably from... I'm actually not sure. Probably IS-7 based on the amount of damage he took, unless the Object 704 rolled incredibly low. But then we have the enemy have advanced into the cap circle. There's 2 tanks in there at least. The S tank is moving, so maybe he's trying to get into a better position. Looks like that's what he's trying to do, is get in a position where he can cover the Conqueror, but the Leopard gets the flank of the Conqueror here, and the STRV is trying to shoot the 430 that's not spotted, which was interesting, but the Conqueror bounces the IS-7 and finishes him off too, so that was a lucky trade there, but the STRV is still looking at the 430, which he didn't have a shot at, even though that T-30 came up and poked him, and the Leopard prototype is in the open. So I'm not sure exactly what's going through this guy's head, but he does have a dead driver, so his traverse speed's a little low, and the Conqueror goes down. So it's all up to the STRV 103-0 or O, the Tier 9 Swedish tank destroyer, which is a very powerful tank in the right hands, even with a dead driver. So he backs up all the way to the map border for some reason here. He's not trying to find cover, and his traverse speed is really slow, especially with the dead driver there. Really not sure what's going through this guy's head. But we can only assume that the Leopard and the Object 430 are coming to try to flush him out and finish him off. And I really think he should have healed his driver here if he could, because for some reason he enters the siege mode while the Leopard is getting around him. So Leopard blows his tracks off. His traverse speed is super slow, even with his driver back up, and the Leopard blows his tracks off again and seals his fate. And that was that match. Luckily, I was not super upset. Because even though we did lose this game, which by the time I died I kind of expected, I was very enthusiastic to see the end results screen where I found out that I did 6,389 damage, because the shot at the IS-7 did well over 700 damage. And that was really nice feeling. So we got the high caliber for that. A third class mastery. I wasn't really going for ace tanker or anything, but 6,300 damage, just shy of 6,400 actually. Nailing that high caliber, and even though we fired all that hesh, we still came out with, I think, a little bit of a profit. Yeah, 11,000 credits, because of the holiday ops that was going on, giving me some extra credits. So I really hope that you guys kind of enjoyed these little bits of replays. I was super excited to get out of the funk of not having the Tank Destroyer 15 missions looming over my head anymore, and I was really, really excited to be that one step closer to unlocking the T55A. So here at the end I kind of put a little bit of a compilation here, and I hope that you guys enjoy that a little bit. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.